Good morning, you guys. It is Amanda and Barron with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio, 104.3 FM and 1220 AM. Our sponsor for this first half is Mike from Oddmo's Pizza. He's been absolutely amazing in sponsoring us since the very beginning. So I highly recommend you guys go there for lunch. They do deliver, or you can show up and pick up. Their Reggie Veggie with cauliflower crust.
Still your favorite.
I've recently had that one, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. And you can add cauliflower crust to any of their pizzas, and you really can't taste the difference. It's phenomenal.
Not at all.
So thank you, Mike from Oddmo's Pizza.
Yeah. Last week was kind of interesting. We actually did a replay of a show from 2 years ago.
Yes.
But I got several people commenting that they didn't remember it, so I thought that was a great interview with Casey.
Yeah. Because, well, it was a few years ago, so it was nice to...
2 full years ago when he was on there.
Yes. So it was nice to kind of pop that one back into the cycle.
Yeah. Do you remember when Casey was in studio with us?
I do.
So what are your memories of Casey?
I just remember that, so he didn't have legs,
Yep.
and he was in a wheelchair, and he was so full of life and joy. And when someone's in that type of situation, you would think that it would be hard and that you would kind of be down and out, and he was complete opposite. Yeah. He embraced it. He made jokes. He was just happy, funny, go-lucky guy that just wanted to feed his positivity into the world. And so he left a pretty good impression on me.
Well, I remember him telling me that after high school, in his early 20s, someone asked him why he didn't apply for disability. And he said, why? I'm not disabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's always been his attitude, right?
Yes, I love that.
And I did a Spartan race with him, and one of my funnest memories is there's an obstacle where you got to jump to get to the first ring. It's a ladder, but you got to get to the first one, and then you go up and over this ladder. Well, Casey's doing little videos for his company. He does motivational speaking. So he gets to the top, he turns, he looks back towards Kevin and says, guys, I am so tired, I can't feel my legs anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just who Casey was.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't want to get too far along because the room's full today.
Yes.
And I get the pleasure of introducing my friend Mikki back for the 6th time.
Oh, wow.
Repeat
Good morning,
offender.
Mikki.
Repeat offender. Except I want you to introduce the other guest.
I am so excited to introduce Dr. Sherrie Davis, who's part of my go-to team. We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
But yeah, so excited about this.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Mikki knows we've been doing this, and Dr. Sherrie will probably have some thoughts to add to this. We've got this magazine I found at Safeway, I think, just a grocery store, but it's 100 disease-fighting foods. We've been going through this just one at a time. This week's food is honey.
Oh, I love honey.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love honey?
So what it says, why is this a disease fighter? This sweet treat is an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and buzzing with antioxidants. And get this, a spoonful eases coughs as well as cough medicine does, according to research. But these ladies, I'm sure, have some interesting thoughts on honey. Your thoughts, Mikki?
My thought, well, I would like to say what honey is amazing and has amazing medicinal qualities, both externally and internally. I would like to encourage people to use it with respect. The amount of work those little tiny bees have to go through to gather up that honey and make it. And the, industrial honey is killing bees. So, raising bees isn't that hard, and having local honey is way healthier than, when they steal the bees' honey and then feed it high fructose corn syrup. Don't get me started on that.
That's a whole nother show, Mikki.
It's a whole nother show. But find somebody local that raises bees, or raise your own. Everybody's garden does better.
Yeah.
So
And don't spray any pesticides on your plants,
And let
because
the
that's
weeds
killing the bee population
Yes.
as well. It's getting smaller and smaller because of all the pesticides that are being sprayed.
facts.
I just put out, or not just, but for the summer, there was a post I saw that bees, they can't get water as easily, like they'll drown and when they go to like a big source. And so somebody put just a container, Tupperware, I couldn't figure out the word, Tupperware container full of rocks with water in it so that they can perch up on the rocks. And so I've got a few of those
cool.
in my
Me too.
garden for them.
Yeah.
And because they're so important to us.
Yeah.
So true. And the honeycomb is full of antiviral properties.
Oh.
The honeycomb itself. Now, it's real waxy, it kind of reminds me of when you were a kid and you had remember those little pop bottles that were made out of beeswax?
Or the lips.
And it had little juicy things in it, or the lips. Kind of reminds me of that because they make it out of that, right?
Okay.
But just, you could chew it forever. But just doing that, of course, it has a lot of antiviral properties in that beeswax.
Yeah, bees are
Kinda
little
interesting.
amazing little creatures. That
Yes.
it's not just the honey. It's the beeswax. It's the propolis. It's the royal jelly. It's we gotta save the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that's not where
true.
you were going with this.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
turn.
That's okay.
Well, because we need them
We do.
for our plants and our medicine,
100%.
but
Yeah,
we
true.
need them, like, when the apocalypse happens, or if, honey is a fantastic staple to hoard up,
Yeah.
if you will. Or, if you raise bees, it's
great
just a
food.
great source of food for everyone. So,
Well, and I think it's great that even the magazine itself talks about its anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah.
Because almost every disease is because we have too much inflammation in our system.
inflammation.
My sister, when you guys got here, she was out there telling me about her drink that she made. And she was like, and then I put a little, because she's dieting and wants to eat better. And she was like, and I put a little bit of sugar in there just to make it sweet. And it was like, you should have done honey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Always do honey instead of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of updates for you. The first one is a sad update, but we kind of saw it coming. One of the founding members of our board of directors, when I started this organization and I realized nonprofits need board of directors, and so I reached out to some friends in the community, and Faye DeMeyer is really involved in this community.
Yes.
Quickly said, yes, I'll be part of that board of directors. She was our first president of the board. Her second diagnosis, the first one was uterine cancer. Her second diagnosis was about 1.5 years ago, when it was pancreatic cancer. And she fought traditionally, the way we would traditionally fight here in Salem. That wasn't working, so she headed down to Arizona with some more non-traditional methods,
Right.
which will be very interesting to talk about in the second half of the show. But the non-traditional methods were working.
Right.
Her tumor had shrunk by 75%.
That's huge.
I mean, massive.
Yeah.
So she comes back. She was our go team at the end of last year, and we had these really fun shirts made up that you have one.
Yes.
And she just was a person of faith, and so the shirt says "Faith with Faye."
No.
Except cancer is a weird little creature. It's a whack-a-mole, as you said.
Yeah.
It's playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah, and it came back with a vengeance, and that tumor grew like 4 times its size rapidly. But she did pass this week. So,
Sad.
and she's in a lot less pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
she is.
It's a rough
And-
ride we signed up for doing this. I'm telling you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Mikki and I were talking after that happened, and because she's our Kickin'Cancer guide up in Vancouver.
Right.
And I said there are highs when you get to help someone like Rebecca
Yeah.
and give her a big check, and there's lows.
Yeah.
And the lows are hard because
Yeah.
you become you become attached to these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And their story and, their
their
success.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the low, but I have a more exciting update for you on the high end.
Okay.
The 13th of next month was a Friday night. This will be the second time we did it. Mikki was at the first time we did it. 2 years ago, we went out to Mike Adams' property, and we brought a band out there, and we had some vendors like Mikki, and we had some food trucks, and some cornhole and things to do. Well, this year, we're calling it Mavericks, Music, and More. And it will be the 13th, so 2 weeks away on a Friday night, out at Volcano Stadium.
Okay.
And we do have a band that will be playing out there, and you'll be able to pick up food from the concession stands. And the really fun thing is we have a local men's softball league that they want to play a game under the lights.
Okay.
So the band will play it from 6 to 8, and from 8 to 9, they're going to play a softball game. And they have all bought one of our shirts. There's a lot of colors.
I love that.
It's going to be like a bag of Skittles just spilled all over the baseball stadium. And they're actually calling their game, it is the Kickin'Cancer on the AstroTurf
Yeah.
baseball game.
That's a win.
AstroTurf baseball game.
Yes.
That's a win.
That's good.
So that is the 13th. All we're asking you to do is go to our website underneath events and hit the RSVP button. Only because we can get a head count.
Yes.
Do we need 2 concession stands open? Do we need one with 3 people? How many
Right.
people should we expect? There's no cost to come to it. There's a parking cost. I can't get around that. There's no cost to attend it. But there's going to be 500, we want to have the right amount of food available.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Good
But it's but it's going to be super fun. Again, there's a band there. Noah's going to come out with his disc, and you can play some disc golf, and then you can watch these guys play softball in their kicking cancer on the AstroTurf.
Oh, fun.
Hilarious.
That's awesome.
All these plays on word.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cute.
But one of the reasons I want to bring Mikki back is I want to take the listeners through a little bit of a timeline. Mikki and I met through a referral, part of a networking group, and this person told me I should meet another person who lived in Oregon City, and that would have been February of 2022. So 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Time flies.
Well,
when
that
you're having fun.
person said, you will need to go up to Vancouver, Washington, and meet this lady with a water store. So I go up there. I distinctly remember I was sitting in an office talking to the person that referred me, and walking past the room was Mikki. I didn't know her yet. And I just said the word cancer. She pops her head back. She says, "What are we talking about?"
Hello?
Oh,
And
hi.
the rest is history.
Yeah. I'm like, Arch. I'm like walking down the hall and I heard him and I'm like, Arch. Little, God tap on the shoulder. I'm like, oh, hi. And,
Hi, can I hear
rather than
myself?
hijack your conversation, because I will, I talk a lot, come see me afterwards and I need to get to know you better.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you didn't know you couldn't get rid of me.
I didn't know you were my spirit animal.
I guess
Right.
so. But just really quickly for the listeners that haven't heard your story, just really quickly, tell our listeners your cancer story.
Okay, well, yeah, the reason that caught my attention is because I'm a cancer survivor, and I beat cervical cancer when I was 28 years old, and I didn't go traditional. I went naturopathic. I remember sitting across from, the almighty white coat telling me that, I wasn't going to have more kids. They were going to take my uterus, blah, blah, blah. And, being 28 and invincible, thought that, I don't know who you think you are telling me, that I can't have kids. I might have had another one just to prove I'm wrong. But, so I beat it naturopathically, literally became an herbalist, went out into the woods, gathered up forest products and came home and made my own medicine. I had good guidance. I'm not okay, I might be crazy, but I'm not, I'm not stupid.
The jury's still out.
Okay. I had a good naturopathic doctor that, walked me through it, took a correspondence course and blah, blah, blah. I had, apprenticed, all the things.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what I was doing, or had people overseeing me that knew what I was doing. And I say that because I don't want people going, oh, I'm just going to, go.
Right. You were very educated in what you were doing.
And it was hard. It was hard.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. But, it set me on this path of naturopathic healing, and in this new arena. Honestly, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, was that diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it changed the course of my life. Well, life got stressful and I went back to my old naughty habits, and, 8-9 years later, cancer came back. So I, reversed it again. So I loved, what I had done and how much it had changed me. And apparently I'm just an inherent educator and I can't keep my mouth shut. So when people, would come to me with health
That's
issues,
we get along really well.
right? When people, I have this going on, I just find that people are always sharing their health issues with me. And so, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And it just kind of led me into this naturopathic, venue, and, hydrogen Kangen water came into my world a few years after my second cancer diagnosis. And, years later, I'm just going to fast forward so I don't hijack the whole conversation. I opened a wellness center around the hydrogen water, and in came Barron. And, he's like, hey, you want to do a thing? And I said, no. And he said, please. And I said, no. And he said, you have to. And God pretty much said, you have to.
You have to.
Here we are. Yeah.
Well, what we did do is we took our education seminars, our clinics, up to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And people can actually go to kicking-cancer.org under resources and click the one that says food, and you will see a wonderful video of Mikki describing the water she just told you about.
Okay.
So we took our education program to Vancouver, and then I kept thinking in the back of my head, this is an idea, this Kicking Cancer is an idea that could be replicated in other places. But we need to find somebody else that could guide that.
somebody's crazy as Baron.
And we found one. Because I didn't mean to, but I got the nickname of the Kickin'Cancer guy, and guide is close. And so I said, someone needs to guide that community, that chapter. So I took the idea to Mikki, and she said, I'm very intrigued. So then we went to the board of directors. We said, we got to make some changes to the bylaws, blah, 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 which we did. And bada boom, bada bang, we have a chapter, a community functioning really well in Vancouver.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun.
And we are now 8 months into our first community.
That's
Tell me
cool.
how the last 8 months have gone.
It's been a wild ride. Every single thing I do, I feel like a deer in the headlights. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm
That's what
making
you
this
call
up
me.
as I go. I do. That's why he's the guide. And we did our first Go Team for Go Team Robert. It was phenomenal. It was
I
phenomenal.
have the Robert shirt on.
You do. Thank you for that. He's a great guy, and I'm so happy to announce that Robert is cancer-free.
Woohoo!
Yep.
That's awesome.
Such good news.
Yeah.
Such good news.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had been working with Robert for a while and coming into my wellness center, and a friend of his came to me and said, we got to help him raise some money. And I'm like, those are magic words.
Yes.
Because owning a wellness center, I don't want to like skew things one way or the other. Like it has to go through the proper channels.
Yes.
So, go to the website, nominate him, tell his story, tell us why he needs us. And so he did, and it's a compelling story. We've rallied behind him and helped him raise a bunch of money, and also kind of kicked him in the pants, like, listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, Robert.
So I remember driving to Vancouver to help you get set up. Unfortunately, the baseball job pulled me back. I wasn't able to be there. But this was called Rockin' for Robert. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the listeners what that night was like?
So we created a concert. We found a venue. We pulled in some bands that were willing to donate their time, and I have an incredible network that donated baskets and gifts and all kinds of things like from tattoos to,
Wow.
8 hours of painting to, happy baskets. And, it was just incredible. And so we did a concert, and we had raffles, and we raised a bunch of money for Robert, which was phenomenal. So we were able to give him a check for almost $3,000 to help him offset his, medical alternative things that aren't covered by insurance. And the best part, the best part is just the emotional and the look on his face, and just his friends rallying around him. And I feel like that is so big in part of the healing process, in just knowing that you've got that community that's pulling behind you and rooting for you. And I really feel like that's part of why he has been successful in beating cancer, because he's,
agree.
It's not just him alone going, I don't know what to do. He's got 100 people showed up for him and donated. And
That's awesome.
just such a feel-good moment, and so fun and rewarding to be a part of.
Absolutely. I love that the community came together and donated stuff like that to just help raise money and just be a part of something that's bigger than them.
People love to be a part of something that's bigger than them, and they
That's what
want to
Ashlie
help.
said when she was on the show.
Right. They want to help, and that's been such an eye-opening piece to be a part of this. It's hard, especially for women. It's probably for men too, but it's hard to ask for help.
Yes.
It's easier to ask for help for somebody else. And so, if Robert were to go, hey, I'm trying to, raise some money to help my own cause, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
So when you get the Kickin'Cancer community behind Robert and go, we're going to do this together, it just, rising water lifts everybody. And it's just been such a beautiful experience to be a part of, and to help people.
Yeah.
And to watch people love helping people.
Yes.
Well, I know that you were at the Iron Evening 2 years ago, and Mikki spoke briefly at that one. Because of weather situations, we had to change the date for this year.
That's right, yes.
And there was an award that was given to Mikki, but she wasn't there to get it. And
Heartbreaking.
Brenda wasn't able to make it to the event either. But we have created 2 awards. One is the Chris Fonick Award, which we talked about in an episode. But the other one is actually called the Brenda Ferris Award.
Okay.
And it was created because what I realized is after we had done Brenda, we wanted to help one more person. And we did that, and we could help one more person. And so there was this continual thing of Brenda and I helping one more person. Anyone I can meet that exemplifies that help one more, that's the Brenda Ferris Award.
Okay.
And this was the first winner of the Brenda Ferris Award.
How appropriate and fitting. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I steal her quotes all the time. The woman's phenomenal.
She is. But so are you.
Thank you.
Well, one of the things that Mikki called me about is like, how do I do these Go teams? And we weren't it all out. And she didn't want me to do it. She just wanted some advice on how to get through it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I get another nomination that comes to the website for someone who lives in Battleground, which is just outside Vancouver. And I'm like, okay, well, Mikki, we got a possible one here. Tell me about your second Go team.
My second Go team is polar opposite of my first. Morgan is terminal and she's not going to make it. So it's Go Team Morgan. And she needs to get her affairs in order. I'm going to try not to cry. We do get involved in these people's lives. And if you
Welcome to the life of a guide.
Wow. So we are creating, Morgan loves crafts and she loves country music. So we are putting together a craft and country making magic for Morgan. And really just helping her raise some money to get her affairs in order. We're going to try to help her pay off her car, make a couple months house payment, and so give her time she has full custody of her granddaughter, Aurora, and so we are helping her do that. We're also looking to get a tuba for Aurora. She plays the tuba. So we're going to be raising money.
You didn't tell me this part.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Raising money for that, and don't cry, don't make me cry. So she has found guardianship for Aurora. She'll be moving closer to where I'm at, so we will be helping Aurora with her aftercare, emotional support, coaching, and that kind of thing.
And each of the Go teams has a kind of a catchphrase name, and it was really funny because she had talked to Stephanie, which is the captain of the Go team, right? So Stephanie and her had talked, and she had gotten Morgan involved, and they're like, well, what are we going to call it? She says, I don't know, that's Baron's job. So I'm listening to everything they want to do, and I said, this is called creating magic for Morgan. We're creating some magic for Morgan.
Yeah. So it's going to be a beautiful thing. And one of the reasons it's so hard for me is because I'm in the healing profession, right? I help people get well.
Yes.
And Morgan is faced with the disease that they're telling her she is going to have chemo and radiation forever, for the rest of her life. She doesn't want that.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that. She wants to go meet her maker, but she's got some ish to do before she can, comfortably do that. And so it's hard for me because, and I told her, I said, this is really hard for me to not jump in and give you advice. And, if it were me, I would be doing A, B, C, D, F, G.
Right.
If you want that, let me know. But it's my job to help Morgan do it how Morgan wants to.
Right.
And so that's really challenging for me because I'm a large and in charge,
Yes.
the bull by the horns kind of a girl. And I have to let her lead, and this is her show. So it's Morgan's magic. It's not Mikki's magic. So it's we're paving the way for her to go peacefully.
Yeah.
And what it reminds me of, and I'm not sure we're sitting on in time.
23.
When I got the phone call last year about this guy named Josh who had colon cancer. And they said he was going to have chemo the rest of his life, and he didn't like the way the chemo made him feel. And he had a bucket list item that he wanted to ride his motorcycle from Newport, Oregon to Boston. That road number is the same number the entire way. And so he just wanted to ride his motorcycle before he died. And he looked at his doctors and he said, I'm done with this chemo thing. I hate the way it makes me feel. I'm not going to do it. And they said, if you don't do it, you're going to die. He said, I don't care. I'm done with this chemo thing. And then I get the phone call, can we help? So we put together Go Team Josh, and I said, how much do you need for that ride? He needed $3,700. When we were done, we raised $7,300.
Wow.
And I said, I'm sorry, we reversed the numbers. But it gave him enough money to go to New York, and he went down to Florida, and he came back through Texas, and he did this amazing ride, and then he died. And the hard part is to realize not every Go team is going to make it.
I mean, we're all dying. Let's just face it.
Yeah.
That's very
You know,
true.
but the
Yeah.
journey, we can impact that.
Yeah.
We can make a difference. And, you know, in 100 years, nobody's going to remember Mikki Meisner. But the seeds that I'm planting now, the seeds that you're planting now, the difference that we're making now, they'll be nameless and faceless, but the ripples are going to go out.
Yes.
Because each one teach one, we're going to make a difference.
We are. Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm going to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for this first half, which is Mike with Odd Moe's Pizza. So you guys go call and get your Reggie Veggie on cauliflower crust. Thank you, Mike from Odd Moe's Pizza. All right, we'll be right back, you guys. Stay tuned.